Hi, Warriors. Sinatra, Michael, AJ. How's everyone doing? Team, how are you?
Morning, Dale.
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Morning, morning.
And there's Kman. So,
Good morning, Coach.
hey, how are you, Blake? So 23, 22 cable. It's kind of a big lumpy shoulder now, isn't it? Yeah. So I know you're probably still long, right? You think it's because of risk on came in?
Well, I went out of it yesterday, but then I re-entered a bit. Well, that's one thing, but I also think that, well, for once, Bailey didn't shoot it all down. I think Sterling is perhaps already trading end of month, end of quarter, and I've got this kind of impression. And really, I think it's possible, but this high in the 123.40s, if that would go, I think it could be a little bit of a shot back up to the 124s. But yeah, the dollar is a bit on the defensive versus everything. Couple of currencies held pretty well. The euro dollar is one, but then also the Aussie was trying yesterday to go a bit lower, and that held also a trend line. Looks a bit of a mix already going on between slightly weaker dollar, less tensions, and already end of month, end of quarter starting perhaps to kick in just that little bit. Yeah, it's gonna be
so good.
He's gonna be watching prices and the watch.
Okay. And with the yen, is this weakness repatriation, you think? Demand for it to come back?
There's some talk going on that they may need to up their hedges a little bit because the cost of hedging is too high right now. So that's some rumors flying around. On the other hand, the Tokyo CPI came, the Bank of Japan core CPI came back down below 3%. So we had this blip up from 130.5 to back into the 131s.
Yeah.
For now, the weight of the dollar is a little bit too heavy right now for it to hold. Yeah,
I was noticing that these lows in both yen and dollar were confirmed lows. Mainly the dollar, but
yeah, because we're not far from the recent, the most recent. I'm talking right lows in dollar yen, the 130.5.
Yeah,
not far from it. It couldn't hold the 131s. It's a bit of resistance there in the mid to high 131s. It's capped pretty solidly right now.
So I'm breaking my rules, and even though this is a confirmed low, which I'd expect a new low and it could happen, I'm trying it here with stops under the low.
Right.
So, that's what I'm doing this morning. What are you doing, Ryan?
I'm eating a plate of cheese and crackers.
Yeah, the lunchtime, right?
Yeah.
Limburger?
What?
Limburger?
No, nice plate of cheese and some crackers and some nduja.
And a beer?
No, not this time of morning.
Right.
It's too late. I've already had 2 pints for breakfast. I think
it's pretty quiet.
What you got to look at the moment is dollar yen's moving down while yields are keeping a bit of a rally going.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, yeah. So what do you think? Which one's going to give?
It could be flows, as Kay mentioned. I saw a bit of this coming in on Friday, just at moments where yen pairs weren't moving with yields. So I suspected we are seeing some month-end stuff, and it's picked up again today. Yeah. So I'm looking for dollar yen to maybe move down towards those lows. I'd like a gift at 128, 127 over the month-end stuff to get into some longs down there against that the big lows and on the 127s.
Yeah. Okay.
Might need to come out a bit for that one.
Yeah. This line will come in just a shade over 128.
Yeah, 128 is a bit of a
couple of good hits on it that were significant. This one.
Yeah.
We didn't get here this time, and maybe we do here if it fails. So, yeah, yields. I thought we could get to 370, and we're not that far away. We're like 1 day away, one report away, and then I know some guys that after 370 are looking for 3%. I don't know what would. The only thing I could think of that would precipitate that would be, more bad banking news or risk off in some way.
Yeah.
For it to go, like they're saying it's like here, daily 4 hour. It's like, this was, what we're having is this is going to be a failing rally, and then we get something like this from up here, takes you down to 3%.
Yeah, that'd be a big move. That'd be some sort of poo hitting the fan.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that would get us 3%.
Trump next year.
The same too, running for election.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Are there no young people in the States?
No,
They're all in the
You're asking
traders.
Dale that
They're all in
question?
they're all in the TFP.
the best.
They've done such a great job recruiting here in the States.
The best people out of 330 million is Clinton, Trump, Biden. That's it. You have to wait for another generation to hope for something better.
What
Dale,
about Morrow? What about Morrow and Pinkert?
I was going to say,
no. No.
Dale for president.
I'll be king for a day.
President coach.
Just for a day, man. Anyway.
Just for a day.
Yeah. Just try it out. And go back to my hovel, leave the castle. I'm pretty
what would you do on your one day if you was king of the hill? What would be your one thing you would do?
I would make sure that I'd back the dollar with gold.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
I'll take a duffel bag to the Fed's gold reserve. That's what I do.
Yeah. I'd back the dollar, make it.
Are you sure you're going to find something there, Ryan?
For Fort Knox? Yeah, we have a lot of gold paint at Fort Knox.
I wouldn't be that certain you'll find much there.
Yeah.
Is it like JP Morgan and the nickel? You heard about that the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. $1.3 million dollars worth of nickel in a Rotterdam warehouse. And when they checked it out, it was stones painted.
Wow.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, considering we're talking about being president for a day, maybe I should take over and go over some charts.
Yeah. Please get us back on track, Paul.
Yeah. Let me
Is that what presidents do?
But first we've heard about Steve, or we heard from Steve. So it's nice to hear from you, Steve. How's it going?
Everything's all right.
Is it all right or all right?
All right.
It's all good. That's what people say.
Yeah.
What an overstatement.
Right. So, Steve, let me ask you this: if we brought gold, and Dale was king for a day, and he did back the dollar with gold, what would happen to the price of the dollar, and what would happen to gold?
Yes, Steve, you know the answer.
Everybody knows the answer to that, right?
No.
Gold would rip and dollar would shit the bed. I mean, poop the bed.
There would need to be a massive depreciation of the dollar for that to happen again, right? But long-term effects would obviously be positive. As long as we were in the gold standard, we had proper government
normal cycles,
economics, right? And in essence, when the gold standard is such that when the fiscal situation got out of hand, the only way out for government was to either fix the problem or do what it did in 1971, which is default in essence, right? Because when you've promised the whole world that dollars is the same thing as holding gold, because at any given point you can ask for the equivalent in gold and you shall receive it immediately. And then one day you come out and say, listen, you remember that we had promised you that you can hold dollars because it's the same thing as holding gold. The only difference being is that the dollars are a lot more liquid and a lot more easy to handle with. Yeah, forget about that. We suspend that indefinitely. And we all know what happens, past that point, right? So it would be a very, very hard experiment to go back to the gold standard because obviously the fiscal situation of the vast majority of countries is really, really bad. But long-term effects would be positive. But no politician is going to do that ever.
Yeah, of course.
Ever.
All right. Well, we were just talking a little bit of theory, and let's take a look at the technicals in gold because the question that everybody has right now is, can gold hit new highs? And I'm just gonna start by saying that you can see the highs and how important they are in the gold market at this point, getting above 2000 first and foremost. But I think gold's got a good chance because we broke this descending trend line and we're holding above that descending trend line. And also, if you look, we've tested it last week.
Yeah.
We also held, if you look at this is the last move. This is the last like spike higher right here.
Right.
We held the 618. Let me go back here. We held the 618. And so then, we've come back and we're just really holding above 1930. So I'm going to argue as long as we're above 1930, I would be thinking that gold has the chance of moving higher from here. The problem would be is if we broke below 1930, and then if we get below that, I'd start to really worry that we're making lower highs. And I think that's going to probably go the way of the dollar. I mean, I know we're just talking about the dollar and gold, Steve, but I think that that we start to see a move below 1930 here, and you're going to see that dollar recover. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the
RSI on that gold.
There are divergences, Blake. I wrote that in the end of week analysis, and we were saying that last week on the morning edge. And
no, the RSI and gold is confirming there's no divergence. Go to the lower.
No, actually, RSI is diverging during the past
on the
two highs.
daily, maybe.
Not only. Switch to the weekly as well, and you'll see there is a divergence there as well.
Okay, but the shorter time frames, I think he had the daily up at first.
And there's a weekly, Blake. You see the divergence there, right?
Yeah, there is there. I wouldn't really argue the daily because we actually made a higher high in relative strength here. So, but the weekly,
look at no, even the daily. Look at the closer picture.
Right here.
Yeah. And look at the RSI.
We didn't make a new high in price, so we're not going to.
On a daily closing basis, we did, and the RSI difference is very, very big, as you see, like above 75 and below 70. Right. If you switch to daily closing, to a line chart, which is more reliable, right? Because it only shows daily closes. We did make a new high.
Yeah, right. I look at intraday price action, but that's difference in you say tomato, I say tomato. It's the way we swing our hammers, right? I have a hammer, you have a hammer. We swing them a little differently.
Don't swing your hammer in my face.
I'd hammer in the morning.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the dollar here because the dollar, I would argue at this point is making a higher low at this stage. We held the 78% retracement. You can see it right here. I'm going to grab this red line. I'm going to move it right there. And you'll also notice that we held this channel. You can see this channel was a pretty key development when we broke out. We held that channel on a back test. So the dollar is really trapped right now. It's trapped right there. And you can see as long as we're below that red line, you can't really be bullish. But at the same time, we're trying to carve out a new or a higher low. So I'm not excited about the dollar one way or the other. And I had this conversation with our traders on the morning edge and then the daily roundup yesterday. I've got a smattering of crappy positions on right now, and they're all small. They're small from last week. Like when I talk about small, I'm like, they are fractions of what I normally trade. And I got asked a question yesterday, are you adding to any of your positions? I'm like, no, I'm not. A lot of people like to just they do the martingale type of trade. They're like, oh, I'm getting long dollars, then I'm going to buy more dollars, then I'm going to buy more dollars, and hopefully it turns around. Then when it does this, they get completely crushed and they're out of the business. When you don't have any confidence in what you're doing, adding on to positions doesn't make any sense, especially if you're in a losing situation. Like I'll add on to winning trades at this point if they're moving in my direction, but I'm not going to add on to losing trades because I don't have any clear and concrete, in my mind anyway, confidence in the direction of the market. So my opinion is, and I'd love to hear you guys' opinion here. My opinion is that until we get out of this range in the dollar, meaning we have to get back above 104, basically, 103.50 really, and then we get back below 102. I'm not really doing a whole lot. I wish I had more. More. What's the word I'm looking for at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Conviction.
Conviction. Thank you. Yeah, I wish I had more conviction. I just have.
I was saying the same thing yesterday, Blake.
Well, that's what I said yesterday. This is the conversation that we had during the morning edge and the daily roundup yesterday, because I got asked, from people, are you adding to positions? I'm like, hell no. Why would I? I have zero conviction on anything in the market at the moment. And so anyway, again, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. So Stelios, what are your thoughts on the markets where we currently stand, and what are you looking at?
Well, I think in the absence of bad news from the banks and data, remember the next big data point we get is on Thursday. We get USDJPY, if I'm not mistaken. So in the absence of that, I think we are going to probably grind higher in risk. Yes, we get the odd dip, but dips in equities keep getting bought. And I am actually very amazed at how resilient these markets have been. I've been saying this for days and days. And so I think into month end and quarter end as well, very likely, I think, in my opinion, that risk is going to get squeezed higher. And we talked yesterday about the CTA positioning, which is very short S&P, as short as it's been in years. And, that all for me adds up to a very good probability of market squeezing higher. In the short term.
You bring that up, and you've talked a lot about the market squeezing higher. It definitely is painful. If you're short risk, which I'm not short the market, but if I was short risk, I'd be like, what the why aren't we going down? But we are basically just stuck here, and we're grinding in this grinding cessation, like just higher in this channel. And frankly, I don't get it.
Doesn't that make it seem more corrective? The fact that it's there's nothing impulsive. It's a grinding uptrend, that it's more of a corrective move than showing its hand with the trend.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess you could say it's corrective.
Into gold dust before trading stuff like this. It just looked like it has no mo, and then all of a sudden it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I look at like this is the stock market, right? And just kind of looking at it like here we are consolidating in in a range, trying to figure out if we're going to actually, the S&Ps are going to make a move above, good move above 4,000 or a move below 3,800, and it's kind of like, we're marking time. I do say that I will say that, and I have to admit that the current price action is very, very frustrating for both sides too. I mean, Stelios, let me take the flip side of that. You, over the last week, have said that you expect that the market's going to squeeze higher, and it's just the pain trades higher. But over the last week, and this is really the last week's price action, we really haven't seen that either. So to your point, I hear what you're saying, but if you are a bull expecting the market to squeeze, you're probably getting a little frustrated as well. And if you're short, waiting for the market to come down, you're probably equally as frustrated, right? I mean, it's really going both ways.
Yeah, but I think in the being short, I mean, what else do you need to happen for equities to go down? You know, you have the potential of a crisis. Yes, it seems to be contained now. Contained is a big word, I think, but you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, and also it looks like the Fed is not going to be cutting rates this year. Well, at least that's what they're telling us. So if you're short, what else do you need to happen for markets to go down? That's what I'm doing, and I'm sure you do it sometimes, often. You put yourself in the short shoes, and I'm like, if I was short on this market, I'd be very, very worried, at least in the short term, at least for this week.
Yeah, I always put myself in the shoes of whoever's on the other side of my trade. Always. That's the almost question number one. Actually, question number two, how do they feel? Question number one is, where's my risk? So yeah, great points. Let's go over to Ryan. Ryan, so what are you thinking here in the markets?
Well, Jimmy, overall, a bit of the same view. I've got a bit of a lack of conviction in anything at the moment. I'm plotting my levels, as I mentioned earlier. Dollar yen, if we get an end of month move down to the low, 128s, 127s, that's where I'll look to potentially try a short to hold on to for a bit. Euro dollar might be setting up a bit of a range, you know, in this. It's held the 107 pretty much since the break. We got that test on Friday. Held that. Maybe we're setting up for a bit of a range, 109, 109 and a half on that one. But yeah, I'm a fundamental trader. I like trading the trends, the big changes, and I'm not seeing anything at the moment that whets my appetite to say get into something and sit in it for a few months.
Did you see this chart? This is our ForexAnalytix chat room. This is from the Daily Shop, but actually Jim Welsh, Dale, your buddy Jim, he sent this over about how the CME yen shorts are very leveraged right now because Andy Constantine he'd asked like what
Constance.
Yeah, Constant. Huh? Andy Constant.
Okay, whatever his last name is. He had said something on Twitter, and I spend probably literally less than a tenth of my day glancing at Twitter, but I do look, because obviously I'm looking for headlines or, if things start moving, I'll glance over at Twitter. He said something on Friday, like, what's going to blow up the next hedge fund? Where's the next hedge fund blow up going to be? And I'm like, and I responded to him, I'm like, yen unwind. And, it's interesting. This is because, all of 2022 was really the carry trade, right? It was the long every yen cross short yen. And from what it is showing here, people are still short yen. So maybe that's what gets us down to what you're saying. And by the way, hey, everybody, if you're listening in from the ForexAnalytix community, you are on Jumbotron. So but what do you say about that, Ryan? I mean, what do you say about this chart? Is that what gets the dollar yen down to, the 129, 128 level? Did I lose Ryan? Am I still here?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm here.
You're still here.
I just want to make sure I'm still here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Ryan is probably.
I'm not a big fan of matching what happens in futures with what happens in spot. To be honest, I've seen futures positions be offside for years, and it hasn't affected anything really. But you take it for what it is, and if there are huge shorts there, then at some point they're going to have to cover, or they're going to change their mind and go the other way, and you've got to take that into consideration. But I wouldn't be looking at that to judge my trades.
Okay. All right. Just curious. Hey, before we jump over to Kman, what happened? Anything of note happened in European trade that we need to be aware of as we head into North American trade? Any like big headlines that you're like, oh, everybody's got to know that we might have missed.
You're still talking to Ryan, right?
I was talking to Ryan, but I was wondering, did we lose Ryan? Did we lose me? Am I still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
You say Kman?
No, I was asking you. I said before we jump over to Kman, man.
Oh, sorry. No.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's been a pretty quiet morning. Yeah, there's not been anything big shaking any trees this morning.
Taki says there's Greek elections. Is this true?
Yes.
Are you guys bringing back Varoufakis?
No. It's in May. It's gonna
how
be.
Do you say his last name? The motorcycle dude.
Varoufakis.
We don't even want to say his name. He's irrelevant.
Varoufakis?
Yeah.
How do you say his last name?
Varoufakis.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right.
How's the right-wing party doing there in Greece? The fascists, how are they doing?
Thankfully, they've been basically taken to prison, so they're not around anymore.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. How many parties are going to be contesting this election?
Sorry, what?
Go on, Dale.
I was done.
I was saying, how many parties are contesting this election? Usually it's about 400, isn't it?
Two major ones.
Okay. All right. Well, Ryan, since there was no headlines, Taki said there's a Greek election. We really don't want to hear about the Greek election. That was actually a joke. Kman, what are you looking at as we're wrapping up these last few minutes before Dave Keller comes?
As I said,
David is under the weather. So
okay.
He's rescheduled.
All right. Well, then, you know what? That means, Kman, we've got more than 4 minutes. So go ahead, Kman.
Oh, damn. You're going to have to hear at him.
I only have 1 minute to fill, No, I think, as I was saying, dollar a little bit on the defensive. And then I'm going to do what I usually do end of month, and especially end of quarter, end of fiscal year in Japan. I'm going to trade the clock. And whatever the market throws at me, I'm going to try to take advantage of it, or if it takes the market out of sync, counter trade it.
All right.
The dollar is looking a bit fragile, I must say, because it was quite easy for this euro to hold 108 so far. Cable, once we were through that 122.60-70, hasn't really looked back either. And then even Aussie dollar, who was so wrestling with that 67.40s, finally managed to hold it, right? We've wrestled with that trend line, as you put on there. We've wrestled with it for 2 full sessions, and then finally it held, right?
Yeah, but I still look at like the Aussie and the Kiwi. They're really, when you're in a risk on environment. Let's go back to what Stelios was saying. Let's squeeze everybody and let's do risk on. Problem that I have with like the Aussie and the Kiwi is their bounces and their recoveries have been really shallow. I mean, you look at like this is mid-February to mid-March. I mean, or to the end of the month. This is the last month and a half in the Kiwi. This is the last month and a half in the Aussie.
Yeah.
And when you have this underperformance of these commodity currencies, we can look at the dollar CAD. Really, the dollar CAD over the last month and a half. They're not really recovering, and I worry about that.
The CAD is the opposite, right?
Yeah, the CAD would be the opposite. That's when I start looking at the risk of the dollar CAD really doing something like this over the course of the next. We get a little bit of risk aversion, and the dollar CAD's going to be spiking above 140, and the Aussie dollar can't bounce. This is putting yourself in the shoes of everybody else. Like if you've been over the last month, like, look, stocks don't, stocks are here and they're not selling off, and risk is recovering, and we're not selling off. I'm going to buy some Aussies in FX. I'm going to park some of my money in Aussie. How frustrated are you if you've bought the Aussie over the last month? You're not getting paid.
No, but
right?
If you look at if you would be a yields or an interest rate differential trader, is exactly the same thing as now doing FX, because all the yields are moving together. That's why we have those anemic moves in FX as well. I think FX is pretty difficult to trade right here and now, because if you look at what the short end or even the longer end, even the 10 years, dollar, euro, sterling, Canada, what you name them, they're all moving together. All of them.
Yeah, they are. And
And
that you
that's
make a
what makes
great
it-
point. Like let's do the Canadian,
It's glue.
US. Let me see if I can. Here's UK.
It's
There's
glue.
some.
You can overlay them. It's
Yeah,
just glue.
there's German
and
boons.
that's what makes FX not the obvious thing to trade right now. So you need to look at a little bit of risk, a little bit of flows after banking worries and things, and then you do probably the opposite. And but you don't keep it for you can't actually keep it for weeks because there is no real trend.
Right. We
no.
got to get those interest rate differentials moving. Now we got to get central banks
Exactly.
really putting their foot down. So hey, I want to ask you this, Kman, since we've got you here and we've got a little bit of extra time. I don't want you to give away the farm, but we do have Kuroda. He had some headlines last night, I think, talking about monetary policy, but talking about how it's too early to exit this policy that we're currently in, regime that he's in, but he's not going to be in control next month. And you talked about Ueda not being the big reformer. What makes you say that, and what are your thoughts on the changeover?
That's how it looks anyway on the face of it, because the big thing that makes me say this is this constant repeat of the Kishida, the prime minister. They're putting in place so many stimulus packages again, so that the companies don't have to pass the whole price hikes to the consumer or to other customers. And this close cooperation between government and the Bank of Japan, and Ueda himself said already that he would remain in close contact with the government, tells me that he's not going to be the one coming in and hammering on the table and saying like, all right, this is it, YCC, we are done, rates can float freely, and basically screw you, the government. So that's not going to happen. So whatever happens in Japan is, in my opinion at least, how it looks right now, after having heard them, is going to be very, very slow.
This is the yen futures long term.
Yeah,
like
there will
this
be
is the
moves
6J.
because Japan moving away from negative or zero interest rate policy, perhaps relaxing a bit the YCC. There will be moves. The market will move on the back of it, but will it be lasting? I have my doubts.
Okay, that's interesting, and I this is a good chart, Ryan, just for you. If you're out there trying to buy the dollar yen on a breakdown, I guess I'm bringing this up just because I hadn't looked at it in like a week and a half or so. But this is the 6J. This is the yen futures, just in the event that we start breaking higher. Anyway, I know I actually have to jump on a meeting here in a second, but before we go, Dale, what are your thoughts about price action right now and where we're going and what we're doing here?
Honestly, I really don't feel like being long anything except the dollar.
Wow. So that would put you in the camp of I want to be trading risk off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think there's I think that there's another. I think we're going to break down. You brought up Andy Constant. Talking to him, he says there's a ton of people in a collar, and Ryan knows, option guys know collars. I think it's 3,642. With the universally embraced, we're in a range. And how can you argue with people? We are in a range, but that's, doesn't mean we're going to stay in a range. And if they take out either side of the collar, there's going to be a big move. My bias is they take out the bottom side.
Well, just so you guys know, Dow futures are actually hitting lows right now. S&P futures are approaching lows. You got the DAX is actually dipping a little lower right now. And here's the other thing. I'm going to mention this, and I know I mentioned this yesterday. I mentioned it on the week ahead video, and I'm going to mention it right now. One of the things that I always pay attention to, especially in these types of environments, is you got to watch gold, which is firming up, right? We've got gold actually near its highs of the session. You see a nice little Nice little move up in European trade, right? You got the dollar that isn't participating yet. But you also have the bond market, which, by the way, if you look at like the 10-year yields, they just hit resistance. If you're in the ForexAnalytix chat room, I brought this chart up about an hour ago when we were tagging that channel resistance. So if you start to see bonds perk up here, which they are, you got gold perking up, and then if the dollar starts to turn, and you got to start being a little bit more careful about risk, because those are that's like the three prongs of risk aversion, right? You get bonds bid, gold bid, and then the dollar bid. When you start getting all those happening at once, that's when you kind of look at the stock market and you say, I think I'm going to get out of the way, and you want to step out of the way or maybe step into some shorts. So just a little tidbit of information that that I'm following as well. But Dale, I think we should probably wrap it here. I think we had for a slow day and with not a whole lot happening, with markets starting to roll over right now, I think we could probably leave it at that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we gave the community some good prep, some things to consider, especially what you just brought up, the toxic cocktail that everyone should be aware of. I suggest that everyone reads Joseph Wang's last article about Ameridollar, and he talks about how this was easy to paper over, but all the dollars in Europe will not be as easy to paper over if there's solvency problems there with dollar deposits.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it in the webinar chat. You guys can get a link to the Trader Summit. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do.
I mean, he really talks. It's the most I've heard him talk about currency, Blake, in a while. So there it is. Okay, you got it. So go to Trader Summit. Read that, guys.
Yeah, it's right there. Read this from Mr. Wang, Joseph Wang. Yeah, good stuff.
I like this stuff. So thank you, team, for we have to call it like it is, and when there's not a lot, we're not going to just kind of create trades to entertain you. We'd rather have you be bored and not give up money to the algos, right?
Yeah, Mark asked, how is our trader funding program works? I'm not sure what the question is, but the trader funding program is pretty simple. You have to go through an assessment, and then when you go through an assessment, we allow you to come into the ForexAnalytix community for a period of time based on what account you're trying to get. So if I think it's Stelios. Are you still here, by the way?
I am here. Yes.
What are the amount of time you get in ForexAnalytix based on your account values you're trying to acquire?
So first of all, the evaluation, the time is unlimited, but you have to take one trade, at least one trade, doesn't matter how small, every 30 days to keep the account active. And with a 25K account, you get 1 month free ForexAnalytix premium access. 50K, you get 2 months. 100K, 3 months. 250K, 6 months. 500K, 1 year, and million, 2 years. So that's that's a very nice little benefit, and it definitely, most importantly, it helps you. The environment and the community helps you increase your chances of success.
Yeah, that's we have the infrastructure really, and we always have to offer this, and we've been talking about it for years before we started offering it. My 2 cents was the crypto market was going to crash, a couple years back, and we've had a lot of internal discussions about that, and we're like, well, there's going to be a lot of people that really want to be able to trade larger amounts of money because they at one time had it. So we've had a lot of crypto people come over and say, hey, I've made it before. I'm gonna, I want to get back in the game, and this is their opportunity. And then also we want to make sure that you have a place to go, and you have a place where there's ideas and there's thoughts, and you can go, into the trades room, and you can go, oh, look, Blake is buying some Aussie yen or shorting some Aussie yen this morning. That should say 1/3. I didn't mean to put in 1.3, should have been 1/3, but you can see like all the trades that people are doing, and you could be in the general chat room and talking with like-minded people and getting ideas of why the market's doing whatever it's doing, you know, and it's not just us posting, it's, you know, everybody in the community. So, you know, with the trader funding program, you know, it's a way for you to access larger amounts of money, and then you don't have to risk your own money. And that's, in this environment, that's important. You know, if you have $100,000 trading account, but you're like, I don't want to, my neck sitting out there, you know, why don't I trade their money and risk their money? That's what we're here for. So, but you have to trade and pass an assessment, because we just don't want anybody trading our money. That's a fact. So anyway, hope that helps. Dale, I'm going to pass it over to you. I got to jump on a meeting. Okay. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you. If you're in the Forex Analytics community, we'll see you on the Morning Edge in about 35 minutes.
Stel, do you see that post by Mark?
Yep.
Okay.
All the questions are answered in the website. We have a very comprehensive FAQ, and if you have any questions, there you go. You click that button, and one of our team is going to be there to help. So any questions
Mark,
you have,
you can contact support through here, and then if you have any questions, just let them know. And if I have to reach out to you personally, then contact them through support. They'll get a hold of me. Okay. All right,
guys.
Everyone.
Have a great day trading. Good hunting. And don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
You,
Thanks,
Stel.
everyone.
Thank you, team. Adios.